Today on the podcast, I have Mary Grace. She is a natural connector who's not afraid to face challenges that come her way. Now, I met Mary Grace in Las Vegas when I was living there, and now we've never met face to face, but we have tons of mutual connections. And she is just amazing and has a networking community and just really loves connecting people to the people that they need to talk to. So, welcome to the show, Mary Grace.
Thank you so much for having me, Haley. I am super excited for today.
Me too. When we start businesses or even think about starting businesses, one of our biggest questions is, how do I meet the right people? How do I meet the people that are going to get me to the next step? How do I meet the people that are going to actually make sense in my business? And so there's so many thoughts we have, but this episode, I'm sure we are going to, calm all those scary thoughts. So I'd love to hear how you got started as a natural connector.
My story is a bit funny. It's funny to me now that I look back at it, but I think I've always been a natural connector, and I think all of us are. We just don't realize it. We don't, because networking is such it makes things official. So then people are like, well, I don't network. I don't think I have a network, but you do it every day. When you're in high school, when you're in college, in family, neighbors, your kids activities where you're meeting other parents there. That's a network. So the reason why I say it's funny, haha, not haha, funny, is I was actually a teen mom. My husband and I are teen parents. We've been together since high school. And through that journey, I believe even then, I think back then, I'm like, I didn't have a community. And to know that now, obviously we don't want to promote teen pregnancy and all of that, but there's people who went through that journey like me. And I met so many women who has gone through that journey that can be that community and that support to the younger teen moms if that were to happen for them. So I think back at that, at how amazing and inspiring it would have been if I had someone like me when I was a teenager, just going through those up and downs, trying to finish school, and then just really feeling alone. So that's kind of where it started. I didn't realize that until I got into business.
So, what was the point where you realized, yeah, I want to go full time into this? Because I know you didn't own the social registry when you first started working with them. You eventually bought it. So could you tell us a little bit about how you got started with that?
So I actually came from a 9 to 5 corporate job. I used to actually be in the legal field. Things didn't work out there, and I posted my resume to Indeed, and the previous CEO of Social Register reached out to me. And at that time, I didn't even know what Social Register was. I was like, oh, they do events. That was totally up my alley. I was already doing events for family and friends. And so it was something I enjoyed. And even my first week working for her, I was like, what is this? Networking, because again, the word networking is such an official word that some people don't know what that is, or some people think it's above them. Oh, I'm not ready for it. So even that first week, I was like, what in the world do we do? I didn't realize until we actually had a physical event. And so I was able to see and just really witness what people are doing and how this is really elevating their business and helping them grow and scale, and how important it is to have a community. So I sat back, for a couple of years, just running the business as the COO and analyzing, just watching, sitting back and okay, this is how, people are making connections, and this is what it leads to. Because quite frankly, I think even for me, networking was over my head. It was what is this? And how does this even work? And does this work? And then, as obviously I stayed with her for 10 years, running the business, I absolutely love meeting new people and just hearing their passions. I think that's really what kept me there, was being able to connect with business owners and just hearing their stories. And then she decided she wanted to retire and move to Italy. And so she was selling the business, and my husband and I purchased it at the end of 2019, literally right before the pandemic is when I took over. Yeah.
So you really had to shift from in person to online, which I know is this big, scary thing for a lot of people who are very, accustomed to in-person networking events because it's not the same, right? When we meet people, I love doing connect calls with new people. One-on-one is different than like a group networking event. So, that's the way of the world now. And any entrepreneur who's coming into the space or wanting to come into the space really needs to learn the fundamentals of online networking. And so you're one of the pioneers in this. What are some tips that you've learned from switching from in person to online?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that compliment, being considered a pioneer. But yes, when we took over, I was scared. I was like, how are we going to shift from people were comfortable with in-person events, and now I'm trying to bring them virtual. But we had to do what we had to do. And I think one of the things I've learned looking back almost 2 years now is you have to really just show up as yourself. That's like the top tip. You just have to come into a call, show up online, get into a Zoom call, even now, go on a coffee date or whatever it is. Be yourself, because that's what people want to meet and what they want to learn about you. And that's who they're going to connect to is you. And I'll be very honest. When I took over Social Register, I thought I had to be not a different person, but I had to be like this professional all the time. And I guess if you were to talk about physical, I was thinking I have to wear a blazer all the time. Like I always have to look business-y and a professional. And I just felt so uptight. Like I felt like uncomfortable all the time because I felt like, yes, I'm a professional, but do I need to be that 24/7? No, I'm still Mary Grace. I'm still a mom. I'm still a wife. I'm still a sister, a daughter. And that's my first tip, is to truly just be yourself, because that's who people want to connect with.
And so, in a traditional networking in-person event, it would be easy to walk up to whoever it is you want to speak to. But let's say online, there's an event with 20 people, and you see someone in the chat room that you want to connect with. What's like the easiest and swiftest way to go out and talk to that person?
I've done this before, and I'm like, hey, where are you from? Really? Or you know what I would do? Sometimes I'll look them up. So I'll take their name and I'll look them up in LinkedIn, just so I have a little background on them, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't know who you want to connect with just by seeing their name. So I look them up. I do a little creeping. And then if I see that I align and I want to get to know the person, then I bring up some things that I learned about them in that quick second, like just looking at their LinkedIn, like, hey, I see you're from DC. I actually just opened a chapter out there. So you create conversation with something that's relatable. Like, you're in DC, I'm opening a chapter out there. Oh my gosh, I see that you have a Yorkie. I have a Yorkie too. Like, it's a real conversation. Like, remove the business out of it just for the beginning, and then move on to the business.
Absolutely. That's such a great tip. I know a lot of people are, nervous when they do any type of networking, and especially for anyone who may be an introvert, that could sound like the scariest thing in the whole world. And so I think that's a great tip, just connecting on something very, personal to you and them, and just create a conversation from that. That's amazing.
Because then that's that human to human connection, like that person to person connection, instead of, we all know we're there for the same reason. Like, we're there to connect. We're there to find power partners, build a community, a client, whatever it is, right? And I think if we just remove all of that and we don't make it awkward and we relate in a different way, I think it makes it more comfortable. And then everybody's like, the other person always feels more receptive, and they feel comfortable too. They're like, oh yeah, I have a Yorkie too. Like, it just becomes a conversation.
So if someone wants to start networking today and they want to join some sort of professional networking group like the Social Register, how can they contact you and get the ball rolling?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, first, I would love to connect. I want to learn more about your business and how we can support you. You can check me out on social media. It's just my name. It's Mary Grace Yniguez on everything. And then our website is socialregister.com. And we do have a tab for our events. Check out the events because we do virtual speed networking and that's open nationwide. And then you can try it for 30 days. It's actually free. And then we also have a tab for membership. So you can check that out as well.